Welcome to the Parts Therapy Training Introductory course. My name is Eugen Popa. I am president of the Romanian Hypnosis Association. And in this training, I want to share with you the basic principles of working with parts. What is parts therapy? The different types or styles or methods of using parts. How you can use parts therapy for yourself. How can you use it with your clients? How to identify parts. What is the difference between working with parts and DID? Or multiple personalities. All of these informations will be presented in the lessons of this course. So I'm looking very much forward for your learning experience. I'm looking very much forward for your sharing your experience with us, your comments, your knowledge, your information. Yeah, let's get started. So what is parts therapy? Well, parts therapy is a concept. Above all things, it's a concept. And this concept has been developed over the years by many experts from all around the world, from starting all the way down to Freud, but also he's one of his very early disciples, Paul Federn, and then John Watkins, and then Assa Jolie, and then Richard Schwartz with the internal family systems, and so many others who have been chipping in, so to speak, in this idea, general concept of working with parts. Really, working with parts is more like working with a concept. When I work with clients, I explain to them, you have to keep in mind that there is no one part of your brain that this part does this and this part does that. It's not something physical that you can segment. It's not something that you can say, the part of you who wants to do X, Y, Z, or that you would not like to do that anymore, that part of you is in this part of your brain or in this part of your body. It's a concept, not a physical placement, if you will. So the idea of parts, at its very core, basically states that at every single point in our life, there is a part of us that wants to do something. So in the early stages, like I said, for instance, with Paul Federn, he realized that when he says, I want to eat, I don't know, cake, he says I, right? But he also says I when he says, but I would rather eat salad, or I would rather sleep, or I would rather walk. And in all of these instances, it's still the I. So then he kind of like came up with the idea, well, if it is I who is doing all of these things, then maybe this I has several facets, right? So it's like sometimes I explain this to my client, like this is the I, this bottle is the I, but it has different facets. So this facet wants something, and this one wants something else, and this one wants something else, but it's still the I. So this is one way actually I explain to my clients when I work with them. So working with parts basically means working with a different side or a different aspect of the self. Now, when you are working with parts, of course, like I said, you can use so many different methods, and I'll just name a few that I know of. Of course, there are more than that, but I'll just name a few. So we have Voice Dialog, we have parts integration from NLP, we have parts therapy as taught by Charles Tebbetts and Roy Hunter. We have core transformation by Connirae Andreas. We have the resource therapy by Gordon Emerson. You have ego state therapy by John Watkins. The wholeness process by Connirae Andreas. Transaction analysis, internal family systems with Richard Schwartz. Family constellations. All of these different modalities, they all work with the idea, with the concept of parts. So, of course, people often ask, what is the best one? Well, there is no best one, because the best way really is depending on the situation, the client, the issue they have, in whichever way the client responds to one of these methods. I have been fortunate enough, like I said, to study with many of the great teachers who are working and created actually their own parts therapy methods. And I ended up actually creating a blend, creating my own method, if you will, out of all of these inspirations and all of these practices. So there is no one best practice or method of working with parts, but rather how can you apply the concept, the principle of parts when working with a client. And when you do that, then the client is at the center of your intervention, and it's not so much about the method or the technique as it is about the client's outcome. And if you can help the client achieve their outcome, it doesn't matter what method you use, whether it's parts or not, right? These are the different, I would say the main different ways that you can use parts therapy, the main methodologies. I'll get more details about some of them, which I have been trained in. And let's continue our journey with what are parts, how are they created, why do they exist, and what do they do for us?